my name is Shannon Gilmore, and welcome to Positively Spiritual. This is your go-to hub of everything spiritually narcissistic. We dive into your trauma, we dive into topics that spiritually concern you or psychologically concern you, biblically concern you, whatever you want to talk about, we're willing to discuss. We talk about the hidden things, the overt, covert things. We talk about pretty much everything's on the table here at this channel. And today I want to talk to you about anger management. I have just had a deja vu. That's what happens when you've got a spiritually positive channel. Wow, synchronicities, and let the spirit speak. Let the spirit speak. So, I want to talk to you guys about a little booklet that I had written in 2016, and I wrote it to help me unpack my anger issues. Do you guys got anger management issues? Yeah, maybe, don't know. Well, if you're traumatized, you probably do suffer from anger issues, and you need a little anger management, and it's okay. We all need an updo. We all need a dust up now and again. It's okay. There's no judgment on this channel, none whatsoever. But this anger management that I wrote, it's 17 pages, and I just want to go through it with you guys. I still stand behind it, and it goes through some deep biblical assertions that you might find interesting. So, anger management, taming the fire within with biblical application. You ready? You ready for this? Well, first, let's get through a disclaimer, okay? By reading this material or listening or watching this video, you will not hold me, Shannon Gilmore, or this YouTube channel, Positively Spiritual, responsible for any advice or direction given that is offered to you within this video or this platform. I personally do not assume any liability for the information contained within this course, be it direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or otherwise, meaning you, not me, you who are reading this, you do not assume any liability for me, okay? You agree that your health and your well-being, spiritual or otherwise, is your responsibility. And any endeavor you use to work on your health and well-being with my help is at your own risk. You are aware of the risks. The information within this video here that you're watching right now with this ebook has been used by me, the instructor and the author, the life coach, the peer support mentor, me, Shannon Gilmore, but I, the author, do not take responsibility for the results that happen or may not happen with you, because results vary. Results are depending on what kind of effort and what you're willing to, invest in yourself. So, do you guys got any questions, suggestions, comments, whatever you want to talk about? You're welcome to just email me if you want, and I will address your questions that way if you feel like you want to address something on a more personal level. So let me ask you, when was the last time you got angry? Well, if you're living with the narcissist, probably maybe 5 minutes ago, maybe just a day ago, maybe 10 minutes ago. When you're living with a narcissist, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're walking on eggshells, and you engage in what is called rage response, a reactive response. It's reactive abuse where the narcissist actually deliberately pushes your buttons, causing you to trigger, causing you to rage. This is a fact. This happens. This is manipulative as it's abusive. However, just because the narcissist or some toxic person pushes your buttons, or you're traumatized in some way, either historical or current, you are responsible for the way you feel. You are responsible for your actions and reactions in life. So, when was the last time you got angry? Did you get angry with yourself? Did you get angry with someone else? Did you notice? I'm just trying to get comfortable here. Did you notice your actions or your thoughts in your anger? Did you notice any physical responses or physical feelings in your anger? Who were you angry at? Did you feel justified in your anger? Now, I'm asking you a lot of questions because these questions we don't often ask ourselves, but chances are they happen when we become angry. And if we become aware of these questions, like who were you angry at? What are your triggers? Did you feel justified? What were you feeling? What were you thinking when you were angry? When you become mindful in your anger, you are in better control of your anger. See, this video is to help you understand your anger so you can control your anger so that your anger no longer controls you. Now, this is an exercise in diligence. You've got to keep this up. You've got to practice and make this work. You can't just read something or listen to this video and say, I'm good. You've got to put stuff into a practice. You've got to work this out yourself. So, anger is not bad per se. Anger is a natural emotion, and it is an expressed emotion that can be shown verbally or physically. Now, the world surrounds us with varying degrees of anger in the forms of hate and aggression that lead to WAR and VIOLENCE. Really, we've got to watch what we say. It's hard to give into anger, or it's not hard to give into anger, especially when it's such a natural reaction, but God tells us not to sin in our anger. But just because it's natural and normal doesn't mean that anger's all that beneficial. I mean, it can be, but when we use it for a negative response in someone else, oh yeah, that's not good. That's manipulative, and we know narcissists and toxic people do this. Now, we all encounter anger, and that's just because we express it, and so we can recognize it easily. We seem to recognize anger more often and more easily than we do someone's contentment or their loving ways. And even as a young toddler who expresses their anger in a temper tantrum, to our coworker flying off the handle into a rage and pushing everything onto our desks, we know what anger is. We know what it looks like, and we try to stay away. And anger can actually cause PTSD. When you endure it long enough, when you endure someone's anger long enough, it can cause a symptom of trauma called PTSD or complex PTSD. Now, there are thoughts that go along with anger that Sometimes these thoughts just get the better of us, and we allow our anger or these thoughts to just lead our anger into, fits of rage where we're throwing things across the room, swearing like a sailor, hitting people, throwing things. And other times our anger can cause us to take out our aggression on ourselves through self-harm, inner negative talk, self-sabotage. Anger is useful as it can propel us to do good things, but it can propel us to do bad things and ruin reputations. So if you guys have questions, comments, or suggestions, please just feel free to make a comment or email me at shannongilmore@protonmail.com. That's MOUR, not an E. Please don't spell my last name with an E. That's not, no. GILMOUR @protonmail.com. So God says this: in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 6. Now, I'm talking about anger management because in my last video about love can build a bridge, I talked about and discussed my trauma and how my mother is of ill health and she's ready to pass from this world to the next world. And so I felt in my spirit that it was time for me to really delve into this. So I know from being traumatized, I know that we have anger in us. And in discussing, my mother and my trauma with somebody this past summer, they asked me if I ever got angry. If I ever got angry at my dad. And I was just like, no. And they're like, have you ever gotten angry at your mom? And I'm just like, no. I've never expressed anger deliberately where I raged because I was angry at my parents for the trauma that was put on me. I never allowed them to take responsibility in the way that my anger was an expression of, I'm angry at you, mom and dad, rah! No, it was, my anger came out in other ways where I would project myself onto other people and try to control other people, not thinking or being consciously aware that my anger had anything to do with my mom and dad. I knew it had to do with my trauma, but specifically, I didn't realize that the people that I was raging at or the circumstances that I was raging at, I was really raging at my mom and dad. And so, where did my page go? I just lost, okay, there we go. So, I've never expressed to my mother, as far as I remember, as far as I know, I've never expressed to her that I was mad at her for what she did and that I felt like what she did was wrong. I never had a chance to talk to my dad. But I tell you what happened this past summer. I went through a personal inquiry, if you want to call it, some soul searching. And there was a situation that happened to me where I lost somebody that I held dear to me. It was a breakup of a relationship. And it really gutted me because I determined that this person was not forthcoming when we met. And so there was some lies going on there. And with that, I challenged myself to see the situation from the perspective, okay, what do I have to learn from this loss of this relationship? What is it mirroring? What is it challenging in me? And it challenged my relationship, or my non-existent relationship that I had with my dad. And I found myself finally raging against my dad. And I was in my car, I grabbed my steering wheel, and I just yelled, I hate you for what you've done. Not that I hate my dad, but I hate his actions towards what he's done to me. And it was such an expression of, it was cathartic. It was, I don't know if I actually felt a release or if I felt any better. Like for a while, I felt better, but then I'm thinking, well, really, what did it do? It didn't change the situation. So was it really good? And that was my ego telling me, trying to get me to grab onto what I let go in that expression of anger. And I was alone in my car when I did this, and I, did ask God to intervene and witness this, because I wanted to be very careful of not, in my heart, I don't want to harbor hate, and I can't, people have asked me, well, don't you miss your dad? Don't you love him? And it's like, well, I can't miss somebody I've never known. I can't love somebody that I've never known. And so how can I hate someone I've never known? But I hate who I had to become in order to be the person that I am now. I had to embrace anger that made me a person I never thought I would ever become. And that's what trauma does. Trauma, like I said in my last video, trauma causes you to become relatable with the person that traumatized you. And so when you become relatable to the person who traumatized you, you are pretty much the closest person to that abuser who understands and knows that kind of pain that person is going through. And that's not to trivialize your own trauma. No, it's not. It's just there's something spiritual on a deep level that psychology doesn't tell us. And people who are stuck in their trauma, we need validation. We need to say, okay, this is done to me. This is bad. This is hurtful. And we need validation. But how many times do you need validation of saying, yes, trauma happened to you. Yes, you were hurt. Yes, your parents did you wrong. Yes, so-and-so did you wrong. Yes, the narcissist abused you. Yes, the narcissist cheated on you. Yes, they were wrong. Yes, they created trauma in you. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, they vilified you. Yes, they scapegoated you. Yes, they made you the black sheep. Yes, they ignored you. Yes, they devalued you. How many yeses do you need before you start letting the trauma go? Before you start acknowledging the trauma and saying, okay, I've heard enough yeses to know and that, okay, something did happen to me. Now, what am I going to do about it? Are you going to keep saying, look at me, I've been traumatized, and my abuser did this. Look at the narcissist. They're bad, they're evil, they're demonic, they're pawn scum, they're this, they're that, the other. When is a good time for us to start transcending the trauma and taking a look at our own pain and becoming responsible for our actions. That's why this course, this mini course, 17 pages of anger management exists. Because anger is a misunderstood emotion. Because it can be used to motivate us to become more determined in our convictions. And for this, some psychologists suggest that anger is a healthy emotion because suppressing it can actually be dangerous. However, more often than not, I believe anger is used as a way to express ourselves out of a demand for justification. And this little mini study in anger management is here to help you to better define anger through godly standards. So are you willing to walk through this ebook with me today? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but if this information helps you, then please use it. You can download this ebook too. I will provide a link. Actually, a link is already provided in the description of this video. So what is anger? Anger can be just blah, 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 blah. That's all, folks. Good night. Anger can be described as having intense emotions of feeling the need to be justified. This comes through an irrational thought process that harbors thoughts and feelings of being wronged and offended. Anger is an act that oftentimes is extremely aggressive, either verbally or physically. We just have to look around ourselves to see that today in the world. It's just gotten so bizarre with anger. And in order to regain control of a seemingly uncontrollable situation, anger kind of says to us that we're more powerful than the other person. You know, just because you're angry doesn't mean you're right. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. And anger is often used as a force to find vindication. When anger strikes, it is usually because of a negative response to a negative situation or cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is, I forget the exact definition, but it's when you hold a belief in you that you believe to be true, but there's proof out there on the outside that shows that contradicts your belief, and so you feel uncomfortable and you can't bring yourself to believe what you see as a contradiction. You can't let go of your innate belief. So so anger is often met with a need for validation, for vindication, as it is usually a response to a negative situation that has caused somebody offense, or someone feels out of control, so they resort to anger in order to regain control. And by the time anger has shown up, it's really too late for rational thought. Scripture shows us that although anger is natural, how we act in anger is harmful. And we gotta get a check on that. We gotta keep that in check. It's one thing to become angry, but it's another to show it. When we become so overheated with emotion, we can't help it, and sometimes we just blow our tops. But who are we expressing our anger to? And how are we expressing our anger? You know, the innocent people in our lives, they don't deserve our anger. And anger is self-destructive. Now, there's nothing wrong with letting off a little steam, but there's ways to do it in healthy ways that are not damaging to other people's psyche or damaging to the soul. We have to be careful, because anger that is projected at someone or someone else, it actually does hurt. And many parents get angry with their kids, and they don't realize that anger goes beyond showing disappointment. Anger damages the impressionable demeanor and the psyche of a little child. Anger damages relationships. When, you know, you can say sorry all you want, but if there's not changed behavior, if you keep repeating that anger and that aggression, regardless if you say sorry or not, it's your fault if your relationship dismantles. It doesn't matter if someone betrayed you. It doesn't matter if someone was in the wrong. We are responsible for our actions and reactions in life. And if you respond to something in anger, that is showing you where you have some deep-seated issues within you that need to be addressed. Anger does not justify, well, okay, so-and-so cheated on me, so I have a right to be angry. Yeah, you have a right to be angry, but do you have a right to pull a punch in your anger? No. You have a right to be angry if somebody cheats on you or hurts your feelings. Absolutely. But just because someone brings up anger in you, two wrongs don't make a right. So you're not right by showing aggression in your anger. Like, okay, for example, if let's take road rage. Just because someone cuts you off doesn't mean that you have a right to show your anger to somebody in aggression and follow them and yell obscenities and get out of your car and punch their car or threaten to punch them or grab some weapons and show your might. Like, what the hell has the world become? We've got to do better than what we're seeing. What we see on the outside in our day-to-day world, what's going on in Walmart, what's going on in our streets, what's going on with drivers fighting with each other in road rage, this was never, we never saw this 20 and 30 years ago. Something spiritually has shifted. So the reasons why we become angry need to be addressed, because there are better ways to deal with hurt feelings in anger. God says this: love your neighbor as yourself. If somebody tries to take or steals from you, like your shirt, or steals from you something, Jesus says, well, just go the extra and give them your shirt. You know, it's really futile to fight and argue with somebody, because when you meet somebody at their anger, okay, here's psychologically, you have to meet people where they're at, okay? And if you meet an angry person where they're at by you becoming angry, what's going to happen? Do you think fists are going to solve the spiritual issue, the emotional issue? Do you really think pulling punches is going to really solve the issue? No, it's going to get you charged. It's going to rift between families if you're fighting amongst your family members. No, no, love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew chapter 19, verse 19. So here's some physical signs of anger. If you are not aware of them yourself, this is something to be more mindful of. Increased heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating, shaking, clenched jaw, clenched fists, headaches, stomach ache, tense muscles, frowning, scowling, red-faced. The emotional signs are inability to concentrate, confusion, thoughts of doing harm to yourself or others, becoming irritable, and being short-tempered. Have you ever regretted your actions after giving yourself over to anger? I have. And that guilt that we often feel after we express anger is a feeling of regret and shame because we know we've done wrong, but we don't yet know how to stop ourselves from getting angry, or at least controlling our behavior in that anger. And because the guilt and regret can be hard enough to bear, sometimes we find ourselves making excuses and finding reasons why we expressed our anger to somebody in the first place. Now, this behavior is like the behavior we expressed in anger. This is wrong, and we know this. And what makes our negative actions and our anger wrong is because God says, in your anger, do not sin. So it's like we can get angry, but as soon as you give your body over to an action in anger, that's sin. When you commit a negative action in your anger, that then is defined as sin. For the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the spirit, and the spirit is what is contrary to the sinful nature. They are in conflict with each other so that you do not do what you want. Galatians chapter 5, verse 17. The spirit nature is all about unconditional love. The fleshly nature is about conditional love. Well, I'll give to you and I'll love you if you give to me. And if you give to me, then I'll do this for you. And, if you do this for me, well, then I'll love you more. Sin is promoted as a dirty little word or a catchphrase that labels who we are as individuals. So people take offense when you call them a sinner, or you say, I'm a sinner saved by grace. People get offended. I'm not a sinner. Don't call me a sinner. Well, a sin is just a wrongdoing. That's all it is. And the fact is nobody likes to be called a sinner because of our upbringing. These days we take offense to so many things. And I get it. I get it that there's an offense, but we got to call it out as it is. The issue, yeah, we can blame society all day long, but the issue isn't just with society, because it's within ourselves. It's about us taking offense to a label that shapes our reality. Well, this isn't doing us any favors. It's just escapism. Or ignoring the problem, saying, oh, I'm not a sinner, so therefore I don't have to work on myself, and I'm a sinner saved by grace, so I don't have to change my ways, and I can act in anger, I can do whatever the hell I want, and I'm justified. I have every right to go and punch the hell out of that guy who called me an a-hole. Really? You have every right. What's stopping somebody then to say, well, I have every right to go into your house and get the blender that you borrowed from me 3 weeks ago. And I've been asking for it, but you haven't given it to me. So I have every right to go into your house because it's mine. You'd be offended if somebody just arbitrarily opened your door and walked in. Well, that's what happens with anger. We just arbitrarily open the door of someone's emotional feelings and we dump on them and we don't care. We don't care what they think. We don't care what they feel because our might is right in our anger. When you're angry, you're not thinking about the other person. It's no longer about them. You make it all about you. And your anger is trying to get control of the situation. Either it's trying to get somebody to see your perspective or do what you want them to do, or to get them to stop doing what you don't want them to do. Anger is a form of aggression that is rooted in control. So I say, live by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature. Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. The sinful nature is rooted deeply within us, and it's fear. Okay? Let's just call it out. The opposite of love is fear. And trauma brings out fear responses, whether that be jealousy, whether that be anger, whether that be doubt, ambivalence, feelings of unworthiness, feelings of feeling ignored, rejected, abandoned, alone. All these feelings that we feel that are negative are rooted in fear. And that's where anger comes from. It's rooted in fear. So here is a personal assessment that you guys are welcome to write down your answers and send your questions to me, or write down your answers in the comments section of this video if you really are interested in working out your anger with me. Do you often recognize when you are angry? Most often we don't, because anger is so natural. It's kind of like an everyday occurrence in this world that we're living. And so it just feels natural. And it's instinct to become angry. Do you recognize your physical symptoms of your anger? What are they? Many people don't get red-faced or they don't feel their cheeks getting hot, but some people do. I've only had a few times where I was extremely angry and I felt my cheeks getting really, really hot. Do you notice any early warning signs that let you know when you are about to blow your top or get angry? After you've been angry, have you expressed guilt and regret? Has your anger negatively affected a relationship that you dearly, dearly wanted to protect? Has your anger affected your work environment? What techniques have you used to help you overcome anger, or do you not see your anger as a problem? Do you know that you become angry and you just don't care about it? It's other people's problem that they've got to just deal with it, and it's better that they walk on eggshells around you because you're the tough guy of the room? How long have you been struggling with anger issues? What actually makes you angry? Is it when someone doesn't do what you tell them to do? Do you get angry? You who are a grown-ass adult, do you get angry at your children, little toddlers, when they don't do what you want them to do? Or do you get angry at your spouse when they don't do what you tell them to do? Just because you're married to somebody doesn't make you their boss. Everybody still has free autonomy, even children. It's about respect. Are there specific character traits in others that trigger anger in you? So why do you act this way? Anger just doesn't happen. It may seem like it does because it's just natural now, because it's been with you for so long that it's just instinct. It's your knee-jerk reaction in response to someone or some particular situation. And if anger comes from within, it's an emotion. Then if it's an emotion, it begins with a thought. And that must mean that there is some sort of hidden turmoil and motive that needs to be resolved, because anger is probably used as an emotional escape for you, a way to bypass hidden feelings that make you feel vulnerable. As cliche as this may sound, there is always a reason behind our behavior. And as adults, we're expected to act in a certain way. But that doesn't mean our emotions always comply to those actions. As adults, we yell. I know I've done it. We raise our voices to be heard. I used to yell at people, not because I wanted to throw my weight around or not to be bossy, but I felt like I wasn't being heard, so I felt like I needed to raise my voice, and I ended up yelling, and the louder I got, the more aggressive I became, because the other person became aggressive, and the other person became more defiant, and I wasn't getting my way, and so I would have to yell more, and then I would get rageful, and I would start throwing things, and it was just all hell broke loose. Because I misunderstood my own feelings. I misunderstood my anger. And I was angry for the right reasons at the wrong people. Like, innocent people got the brunt of my anger because I was traumatized by parents who just ignored me. And it took me a long time. I had to really take a look at my anger and see where it was coming from. And it wasn't, you can blame other people all day long. Well, if it wasn't for so-and-so, and if they wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have said that, and I wouldn't have raged, I wouldn't have done that. You know what? You can blame other people all day long. Other people are not responsible for your anger. You are. Oftentimes when we are angry, another symptom is swearing. Now, some person, some fallacy that is making its way around the internet is saying that, oh, swearing is a sign of intelligence. No, it's not. No. That's coming from people who don't want to be told that swearing is not good. God doesn't want us to curse. God doesn't want us swearing. God says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So if this is a pen and we say, oh, stupid pen, it's running out of ink, well, it just makes us look foolish because a pen is non-intelligent, so it can't be stupid. But then we throw an F-bomb around and we say, oh, this effing pen is ridiculous. No, we're just showing people our short temper. If you're going to get mad because this pen ran out of ink like it naturally should, or maybe it's skipping, or maybe the ink is old and it's just not running, it's cold, or it's old and it's just no longer useful, you don't curse the pen. Cursing just shows your inability to hold on to compassion and patience. Cursing shows your impatience. And me personally, I don't want to be around an impatient person. I can't trust an impatient person. You really can't. Swearing is viewed as being tough and unafraid. I remember being in my teens. I think I was 17 years old, and I was walking by a kindergarten school to get to my school. And there was this little kid, like a tiny tot, like he was just a little tiny pipsqueak. And he was throwing the slurs and the F-bombs, and he thought he was, strutting his stuff, and he was just hurling obscenities. And that age, he didn't understand what he was saying, but they were crude and awful. And I just remember, my gosh, if I ever have kids, there is no way in heck they are going to ever be allowed to talk like that. A child learns how to swear from someone. Parents are the biggest influence for a child. And children often don't understand what they're saying. They mimic. And children often mimic the anger of their parents because they see how their parents get shit done by getting angry. They see that getting angry has other people scrambling to the needs of the person who is angry. So children learn to throw temper tantrums because they see their parents throw a temper tantrum. Okay, so the parent may not throw themselves down on the ground and kick and holler and scream, but a child knows a temper tantrum when they see it, and they pull it on their parents, and their parents do a 180 and say, you're not going to pull that stuff with me. It's off to the car or the corner we go. We're not getting that treat now that you pulled that. A lot of times in our anger, we end up throwing things. Throwing things like throwing a punch, or throwing, an object, pen or some sort of object. We see on film, and kids witness this too. What they see on film, they think they can do in real life, and they see somebody just taking their arm and sweeping it across a desk full of computer and printer and books and paper and folders, and pooh, the whole table is now on the floor, and the computer's broken, and the person picks up the computer and throws it across the room. I mean, that may look good on film because it evokes emotion. But people don't understand that throwing things and swearing and, being aggressive like that on film and doing that in real life, well, it evokes emotion in other people. And if you're in the same room with somebody who is aggressive like that, you become scared. You develop PTSD. Seriously, if it's aggressive enough, and if you've been through different types of aggressive scenarios, yeah, you develop a fear in you that you fear all forms of aggression. And throwing things most often escalates into hitting. Maybe you didn't know that, But yeah, because throwing things gets old. After you see someone throw things a few times, you're like, oh yeah, that's just them. That's their way. It's just they're letting off steam. It means nothing. And if you're not showing the reaction that the angry person wants, well, they soon realize my fist to your face will get you the response that I want. And I mean, no trigger here, but we need to address this because many of us who are enduring narcissistic relationships, we are enduring physical aggression with our spouses. I want to talk about that. I'm talking to people now on social media who are enduring that, and they don't know how to get out of it. And there are people saying, oh, well, I don't know why you just don't leave. I don't understand why you put up with that shit. You know, if my husband ever tried to hit me, oh, that would be the last thing that he would ever try and pull. Well, you know, you can talk the big talk all you want. If you're not living through it, you don't understand it. And I saw aggression in my marriage a few times. And I learned to change my demeanor and change who I was and not be the so boisterous out there, you know, asking questions kind of person. I learned very quickly to keep my mouth shut and my head down. And when I saw on my partner the red face, the pierced lips, and I saw him getting mad, I knew to shut down. And then I would go into fawning, where I would change the subject or apologize or make the situation palatable that served him. What do you want for dinner, honey? I'll make your favorite. Do you want to go swimming or do you want to go watch a movie tonight? What kind of movie do you want to watch? I'll make popcorn. I'll make your favorite popcorn. And we can have some wine later. What kind of pop do you want with your popcorn? Or did you want me to make s'mores and we can, you know, just have a romantic night out or whatever? I catered to his manliness in order to stop him being aggressive with me. And I used to pride myself on we never fought. But you know why we never fought? Because I was too complacent and too compliant. Because I knew if even a difference of opinion would get him piercing his lips, slamming doors. Why do you have to be such a bitch? Why do you have to be such a bleh? And in order for that to stop his behavior from putting me down, I became the person that I thought he wanted me to be to please him, and I lost myself. And that's what we do. Because anger is freaking intimidating, let me tell you. When you have a narcissist, an aggressive woman or man who is so up in their femininity or their masculinity, where they feel like they have to just be aggressive all the time, even in play fighting. Where you're the weaker one and you end up getting hurt, so you don't play fight anymore. You stop interacting because everything is a freaking competition and a battle of muscle and wits and wills. Like, you just, aggressive people and angry people have a way of breaking you down and causing you to be somebody that you don't want to be, never wanted to be, as you lose yourself, as you learn to have that existential crisis of figuring out your identity after they're gone. Anger does more harm than good. Aggressive behavior is when anger has reached its own boiling point and rages out of control just so that that person can gain control. That aggressive person makes you responsible for their aggressive nature. And that's what I felt. And you know, that's what I tried to do too. With the innocent people in my trauma, I was dealing with anger issues, and I took it out on my kids. What the hell? They were naturally out of control because they're little kids. And here I am using my anger to try to control them. Because I was trying to make them responsible for my anger. I was trying to make them responsible for how in control my life was. Hurt people do hurt people. That's just a fact, no matter who says it. And when you begin to recognize behavioral patterns in your personal life, whether it's with you or your spouse or your family member or your child, the easier it is for you to allow God. God says in here that he abhors anger. That's what changed me. When I read that, I was like, you abhorred anger? Okay, so I'm not going to heaven if I show this anger. Oh my gosh. I had to look at myself and I had to change my ways and really look at my behavior. And when you're angry and full of trauma, yeah, it's caused by somebody else, but you're still responsible for the way you act. And no amount of sorries will ever make the situation right. It's sorry with a changed behavior that is consistent. You can't just say, oh, I'm sorry I hit you, or I'm sorry I threw that, or I'm sorry I yelled at you, and then go on your merry way and think that the sorry is going to resolve and solve everything. No, you have to change your behavior and make an effort not to do that again, and that's really difficult. It's not a matter of trying to do better, it's a matter of doing better by recognizing what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why. You got to do the inner work. You can't just acknowledge, okay, I've got anger issues. Okay, so there, I've acknowledged it. That's good. You can't make everybody else responsible, and you can't confess to other people and say, oh, guess what? I've got anger issues, and this is the way I was raised, and, you know, my family just learns to deal with it. And expect everybody around you to deal with your anger issues too. No, that's not, acknowledgement is not healing. Acknowledgement does not heal and solve the problem. You've got to do the work. You've got to look at yourself. As much as we don't want to look at ourselves, I mean, it's scary. It's scary to look at yourself, and it's scary to look at the guilt. It's scary to look at the shame. It's scary to look at the regret. It's scary to look at that anger makes you look, feel, and be less than of a person than you who you are. It takes away your integrity. But you've got to look at it. There's no shame in looking and acknowledging and making that acknowledgement count by doing something about your anger. That's what makes all the difference. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago when I started working on my inner trauma. I don't rage anymore. I'm so docile. Like, I don't, I love people. And once I saw that in me, I was raging because I just wanted to be loved, I wanted to be held, and I wanted to be acknowledged. Once I saw that, once I started loving myself, then I could love other people, and I could allow other people to love me. I was also fighting, as much as I wanted to be loved and nurtured and acknowledged, I was also fighting love too, because I wasn't certain and didn't trust it. I didn't know what it really looked like. So here's what I would like you to do, if you're willing. If you are struggling with anger issues, and please, this video, I've said some harsh things, but it's not coming from judgment, okay? You are more than welcome to talk with me. That's what I'm here for. I'm a peer support counselor. I'm a life coach. I'm your mentor. And all correspondence is confidential. You're not going to get any judgment from me. I want to help you through this. I'm here to work through this with you. So you can either work on these questions yourself, but I really encourage you and invite you to work on these questions, or you're welcome to send them in to me and we can talk about them personally together. But I want you to start, regardless if you're in show anger, regardless if you feel unworthy, regardless if you feel unloved, I want you to just list 5 positive things about yourself right now. Can you do that for me? Can you do that for yourself? What symptoms of anger do you express? Can you think of ways to help you to become not so angry? What would be some healthy outlets? Exercise, go running, go lift some weights, go shadow boxing. Do you have any conflicts right now within your past that you still have to work through? Can you place your past difficulties up against the issues you have with anger and spot the areas of needed change? Now, you can journal these, and I'd like you to just kind of make this artistic. Let your soul shine through in creativity. Make a collage, or, just doodle on a page. Take a pencil or a felt marker and just draw designs on a page, and, color these different shapes with different emotions that you feel when you're angry or when you're upset and challenged. Collect words from paper or a magazine that shows what you're feeling and shows your worthiness. Like, cut out the word gratitude and make a journal page and of all the things that you're grateful for. Cut out, different fonts from different articles and magazines and make the word happy and joyful, and create a journal page out of those cutouts, and use vibrant colors, and go to the dollar store and get some felt markers and just have fun and just get creative. Record the triggers in your journal of your feelings, what people say or what people might do that easily trigger you to become angry. Be honest with yourself. you want authenticity, well, then you've got to practice self-integrity, and that's getting honest with yourself, as this will help you to recognize the problem areas and try to help you come up with hypothetical scenarios in your journal pages. Like, you can come up with hypothetical scenarios in front of the mirror, or journal them in your book, or make a collage of situations that you could better handle yourself in. Now, these things aren't pointless. They really aren't. They actually, these creative outlets actually get into your subconscious, and they break past those mental barriers to help you see the areas where you need change, because change begins and ends with you. It really does. You're responsible for your life, and taking ownership of it doesn't mean that you get to enjoy just the good and ignore the rest and cause havoc and pain in other people's lives and say, oh, well, I am what I am. We don't get off that easy in this life. There's consequences for the pains that we cause. And we have to take the good and the bad as we do the best that we can in this life, right? We are all works in progress. We all make mistakes. I mean, I have. I'm not proud of it, but I'm proud of who I am now. And I've taken responsibility the best that I can for who I used to be. And you've got to address your anger, and making the necessary changes is a positive step for your healing and growth, and helps you step out of your trauma. So you want to practice positive reactions in your anger or in someone else's anger. Learn to walk away. Learn not to engage in someone's anger. Instead of reacting in your own anger, excuse yourself from the situation. Instead of stonewalling and ignoring the person, just say, I need a few moments to myself. Or, I respect that you want to talk about this right now, but right now I'm really angry and I don't want to say anything I want to regret. So please respect my boundaries, and I want to give both of us the time and space that we need, and I'm just going to go walk away, and I would really appreciate if we can continue this conversation at a later date when I'm more clear-headed. It's important for you to get as far away from the offense as possible, then do it. Be polite, but also be firm. You can also just go exercise. If you feel aggressive, go exercise. Participate in a physical activity that builds up your self-esteem, that makes you feel good, that helps you get rid of that pent-up anger and aggression. And while you're enjoying that activity, ask yourself, what is making you aggressive? What is causing you to become angry? And deal with it. Enjoy an hour of cycling. Enjoy an hour or two of swimming. Go walk the dog. Go hiking. Go exercise. Go shadow boxing. Go talk to somebody. If not a therapist, a life coach like myself, or someone like me, somebody that you trust. Don't trauma dump. If you want to talk to your friends and family, ask for their permission first. You can write a letter to yourself, or write the person who you're feeling angry against. You can write them a letter, but don't send it. You can just go for a walk and talk to God, talk to the open air. Treat God as your therapist, as that's who he is. I've done that. You can practice breathing exercises. Breathing and getting in touch with your breath actually disengages your monkey mind, disengages your ego, because that's where anger comes from. Anger comes from ego. And when you learn to just breathe, You learn to control your anger, and you learn to control your thoughts. So take advantage of that. Go and distract yourself. Do something that you enjoy. Go woodworking. Go chop down a tree, legally, of course. Go listen to the radio. Watch comedy. Take up the art of Chinese paper folding. Paint a picture. Involve yourself in the arts, as this is a wonderful distraction because inspiration actually comes from the heart. And when you participate in a creative activity, you're actually engaging your soul and allowing your soul to express its hurt and its love and its joy and its negativity, as that's just a positive outlet instead of allowing the flesh to take hold and hurting yourself and others. Never ignore the reasons that brought you to a place of anger. Deal with the problems when you're calm and you have some time to think things clearly. The more you practice ways to better manage your anger, the easier it will come in dealing with your anger. Now, all of it, I'm telling you, it's an exercise in practice, 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 repeat, 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 repeat. Now, there's no love in anger, okay? Love is tossed out the window when we give ourselves over to anger. It puts your ego's needs, the fear, in front of everybody else's needs. It's not mindful of anyone else. Now, this isn't a judgment call, it's just reality that anger fuels selfish needs that linger within you. So it's up to you to understand what those needs are and those fears are and deal with them appropriately. So there's more in this course, as I am at page 10 and there's 17 pages and we're already past an hour already. So I encourage you that if you are dealing with anger to just click the link and you can download this little mini e-course for yourself that has questions and personal assessment questions for you, and a challenge of the day where you can do mirror work and talk to yourself and maybe even just go through some scenarios of ways to better effectively communicate. And I also have a little ebook that you can find on my Ko-Fi channel, Talk the Talk. It's asserting your way into healthy relationships as being assertive, not angry. There is a difference. Assertiveness allows you to retain your integrity and self-respect while honoring your boundaries, while allowing people to honor your boundaries with you. There's a way that you can communicate without getting angry. So if that's something that interests you, you can find that on my Ko-Fi channel. Now, in conclusion, everyone gets angry, even God. However, God in his anger is always justified. His anger is because his reasons for expressing his anger are valid, as they are different from our own. And although we are given anger by God, anger comes from God, anger is an emotion, as it is healthy, and there's better ways to express our anger than to physically letting other people see it. Anger does need to be expressed. It certainly does, because if you repress your anger, it leaks out somewhere else. But there is a personal advantage to remaining in control, self-control over your anger. Because when you remain in self-control, you are actually mindful of your feelings and you are able to navigate those angry feelings in a way that helps you to see what is more important, fear or love. So how you express your anger in a way that is healthy, that doesn't lead to sin, well, that's up to you. You've got to figure that out. Becoming assertive without showing aggression is a way to give others a clear understanding of how you require your needs to be met. There's a way to control yourself and control the situation without being angry. Trying to control someone else through anger is to claim that someone is subordinate. Hi, Diane. Nice to see you. So, if you can understand that regardless of our differences, regardless of our age, regardless of our work experience, regardless of our trauma, regardless of who we've been born to, royalty or, poverty or whatever it may be, maybe our parents are rocket scientists. Maybe our lineage comes from Einstein. Or maybe we've been born into a family where this family is considered a nobody, where they're just quietly eking out their existence with no attention drawn to them whatsoever. It doesn't matter. We're all equal. But anger says, no, nobody is better than me. No, I deserve, I need, I want, I shall have. Might is not right. Just because you're angry doesn't mean that you're right. And the aggressive person, you may have people who will agree to you, will acquiesce, who will stand down, if you will. But really, when you show anger, you lose people's respect. Subordinates is not love. Forcing people to your will, that's not love either. God does not become angry with us when we F up, when we mess up, when we screw up royally. Yeah, we have to go through discipline. But God's not angry at us in that discipline. He's not, because he's unconditional love. Love is love. Love just is. If you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8, you will not see that love is ever disappointed. Love always hopes. Love also perseveres. Love keeps no record of wrongs, so how could love ever be disappointed? But when we become angry, we feel like we need to be justified. So in our anger, we're not practicing unconditional love. We're not loving to the other people that we're angry at, and we're not expressing unconditional love for ourselves. When we're angry, we're actually making war with ourselves and other people, and we're taking away other people's peace, and we're causing them to have a stumbling block, as our anger is their stumbling block. So when you're ready to work on your anger, I'm here to help you. When you're ready to work on your anger, click the download link. It's 17 pages. There's questions for you to fill out, and there's insight in this little booklet that will help you. I guarantee it will. So here are some things to watch out for. Watch what you say and how you say it. Avoid words of exaggeration, such as, oh, you never do that, or you're always doing that. Never and always are exaggeration words, and they are a negative that actually has a way of alienating you from other people while it humiliates yourself and others in the topic of conversation. It's belittling. Avoid derogatory words and comments and put downs. Watch what you say. Be mindful of the tone in your voice, as your tone helps to diffuse the situation. Name calling is a very difficult thing to take back. Even if you feel someone is being an idiot, you don't have to remind them of it. And it's important for you to just remind yourself that it's their actions that are kind of idiotic and can be called into question, not their character. A narcissist character assassinates. We don't. God's people don't. Self-control allows us to set boundaries as becoming in tune to what you think helps you to stay mindful of what you think and helps you to stay in self-control of what you say and what you do. And this helps us to walk out and talk out the word of God to others. So just be mindful that you're a work in progress and change doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be difficult, but give yourself a break. But don't be too lenient. Don't give yourself over to excuses, because you are accountable for your actions and your thoughts and your reactions in life, and it's up to you to make the changes within you to make them work for you. You don't have to use anger to manipulate people and manipulate the situations into what you want them to be. Anger is the act that it's a rebellious act, as it prevents us from submitting ourselves to God and submitting ourselves to other people. So everyone falls down, but we need to pick ourselves back up, dust ourselves off, and just try again. Just renew your attitude by gaining a different perspective. Anger does not have to leave an emotional battlefield riddled with scars between you and somebody else. Accepting who you are, what you've been through, accept that, yeah, you're going through trauma, you're healing, you're not perfect, and you don't have to be perfect. That's the beauty of this life. God made us perfect as we are. That's it. We're perfect as we are. And it's your choice if you want to do better by becoming better according to His word. But you are enough. Your anger doesn't validate you. Your anger exposes you to the hurt and exposes other people to how much you're really hurting inside. Your anger exposes you to your fear. Now, this study was to help encourage you. And I encourage you to seek Scripture and seek God for the answers as you begin to put your hope, faith, and trust in Him and allow Him to do the work in you that He needs to do. Anger management is something that we all strive to overcome. We all get angry. It's human nature. But when you apply the principles of coping through anger by understanding and striving to heal yourself of anger through the Word of God and through psychological modalities that are available to you, healing becomes more effectual in allowing you to be that change that you want to be in this world. Have you ever said to yourself, I want to be just like that person? I want to be just like Jesus. Well, you can be, but you got to get over yourself. It's okay to get angry. It really is. There's no harm in getting angry. But in your anger, don't throw your hands up and give up and start throwing things and pitching a fit. Use your anger to better yourself. Use your anger. Turn that anger around on the enemy. Oh, this is just coming to me. Use your anger to become better. To show the enemy that the enemy has nothing on you. Use your anger to look at yourself and say, the enemy is grabbing hold of my fear. The enemy is exploiting the fear in me. Not today. No, not going to happen. I'm going to work on the things that cause me to fear so that when situations that normally cause me to anger, I can just look at them and say, oh, interesting. Okay, that's an interesting perspective. I don't have to agree and I don't have to fight you on that. We can agree to disagree. Or you can just simply say to somebody, good luck with that approach. Good luck with that attitude. Hope it works out for you. Instead of baring your fists and, why aren't you listening to me, you stupid idiot? You don't have to be like that. That's what the enemy wants. Don't give the enemy an argument. Don't give the enemy a reason to go to God and say, see, I told you, God, you took the hedge of protection around that person and look how they're acting. They're acting just like I would. Ha ha ha. They're more like me than they are of you, God. Don't give the enemy that satisfaction of gloating. No, 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 no. So, thanks for joining me tonight. This has been a pleasure. And I do have an e-course called Embracing Impermanence. It is also found on my Ko-Fi channel. Just click on shop and it's right there. It's blue and white. You'll see it. And it helps you. I do believe that if you are struggling in your anger, it will also help you see the beauty of letting go and understanding that nothing is permanent, that we cannot control certain things in our lives, that we have no choice but to just let things be. And embracing impermanence allows us to expand our minds, expand our horizons, as understanding impermanence helps us to let go of the trauma, the fear, and embrace change. So if you're interested, that might help you as well. Actually, on Ko-Fi, my sister site, ko-fi.com/Shannon Lynn, it's basically a bookshelf, a library of things that I've written on self-help content and things that I've gone through personally, spiritual warfare, eating, if you're struggling with eating disorders, or me, in my trauma, I struggled with binge eating. And so I wrote a book entitled Body and Soul, The Necessity of Food. And I have been living a diet based on the pH balance eating scale since 2011. I do my best not to ingest toxic chemicals or any chemicals. I don't drink coffee or juice. My mainstay is water and almond milk, organic oat milk, and green tea, organic green tea. I don't eat anything that isn't organic, and I eat strictly non-GMO. It's expensive, yes, but you know what? For me, I'd rather go through the expense now as I'm getting up in years. I don't want to be dependent on medication when I'm 70 and 80 years old. You know what? If you allow your food to take care of you, it will. That's what food is meant for. Food is meant to take care of us. So if you're mindful of what you put into your body will take care of you through the foods that you eat. So you can download that book. I've got so much e-courses and just books, Bible study books. So yeah, so my Ko-Fi channel is a library for you. It's a resource for you to help you in whatever you're dealing with, and you can actually sign up for some coaching mentorships personally with me too. So Diane says that she eats light, simple, and as clean as possible. Never sodas, ice cream, or chips. Good for you. I have I indulge once in a while in coconut milk ice cream. It's organic, but it is still full of sugar, but it's organic sugar, not that that's any better. But I have that maybe like once every 3 months or something like that. Like, I don't really indulge in a lot of sweets either, because you know, as you get older, your hormones change, and you gotta keep that belly off, and you gotta keep the arms from sagging, so you gotta stay with the weights and stay with the walks and the exercises, and you know, you gotta maintain your body. You gotta take care of it, or else it will fall apart. So yeah, I never was one for hard candy growing up. I just never liked suckers and crunchy candy, but I loved chocolate, and I still do. Oh, that's organic chocolate. But you know, there's nothing like milk chocolate, but I don't have milk products. But milk chocolate, there's just a lovely taste with that, so I make my own chocolate with organic almond milk or oat milk, coconut oil, cocoa, like cocoa powder, and a little bit of honey for sweetening, and that's it. And it's pretty good. So yeah, so if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please feel free. And I hope tonight the audio is better. I did a live last night and the audio sucked, so I apologize for that. So I redid a video based on some of the things that I talked about, and that video is called Love Can Build a Bridge. And in that video I talk about just some insight that I've been going through the last couple of days as I'm faced with my mother, who is passing. She's making her way from this life into the next life, and I've challenged myself to really work out my trauma and to make sure that when it's her time to go, that the slate is clean, that I harbor no ill will. And from the past couple of days, God has just been there. God has helped me, and I know He can help you. So if you guys are struggling with, maybe somebody in your life who is transitioning from this life into the next life, who has traumatized you, consider really taking some time to really figure out, with God's help, what that really means. Oh, God, comfort you too. I'm fine now. Thank you. You're so sweet and loving. Thank you. God comfort all of us. May he just, like losing a loved one isn't easy by any means, especially losing a parent and losing someone that you love who traumatized you, that you've never, I never got a chance to say goodbye. And it looks like I'm not going to have a chance to say goodbye now, as I'm dealing with another issue. And maybe you guys can help me with this. I see it for what it is, but I'm reluctant to call it out. Okay, so hypothetically, you have a family member who is in touch with the family member who traumatized you. The family member who traumatized you is now passing on. And this family member who is in contact with the one who is passing on, you haven't really been in contact with them for very long. You were estranged from them for, let's just say, 30 years. It's been 30 years. And now that you're slowly talking, this person puts distance. Like, there's not a lot of communication, but this person lets you know, oh yeah, our loved one is ready to pass on. They're not doing really well. So are you guys following me? Are you guys getting the gist? So you, in your compassion, you're not able to catch a plane and go visit them. So in your compassion, you say, would it be okay if I created a video just to say hello and say goodbye? But that person that you're in contact with, who is your go-to person, who is giving you the intel on the person who traumatized you, silence. What do you guys make of that? Oh, praise the Lord, Diane. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Jesus. Your mother repented and received Jesus Christ. Christmas 1974, and she died in January 1975. Wow. Yeah, she's in heaven. She's with Jesus. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Oh, my eyes want to tear up. See, that's what it's about. Unconditional love is not about what was done to us. Like, after you guys figure out your trauma, and I'm serious, I mean no disrespect, and I am not trivializing anybody's pain, but seriously, if you guys watch my videos from 6 years ago, from the beginning when I started this channel to now, you will see a transition from me. You will see the heartache and pain. You will see the tears that I cried and I shed on video with you guys, trying to work out my pain of the trauma from being narcissistically abused and until now. Like, it's been a long transition. So what I'm saying to you in this video today, it's not just, oh, I'm so arrogant and, oh, I'm just saying this stuff off the top of my head. No, I'm free and I can help you guys get to that point too. I don't want you guys spending 10 years working out your trauma. I've known somebody who has been working out their trauma for 50 years, going to a therapist and spending all that money on therapy, and nothing is working. Jesus saves, but we've got to understand his word, as we also have to understand our own hearts and our minds. And I can help you with that. And I don't want you guys watching these videos for the rest of your life. I really don't. I want you guys healed. I want to see us healed, because that's what it's about. It's about transcending the pain, because it's about understanding unconditional love, because unconditional love is at the root of what our salvation means, because it's the heart of God. and you want to be like Jesus, well, then you've got to have a heart exactly like Jesus. So we have to work this out. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You have to work this out. You want to be more Christ-like, then you have to work out your trauma. It's a must, it's a requirement. Love and hugs to you, Diane. Yeah, we forget the past, absolutely. I mean, like, it was really odd. I found it really odd, like when God shared with me the understanding of unconditional love the other night, I tried to reflect on the past. And even now, I'm talking to you and I'm taking no thought, as Jesus himself says, take no thought about the future of what, you will eat or what clothes you will wear. And I used to take thought, like when I talked to you guys about my trauma, I'd be thinking about it and it would bring me to tears. But now I can talk about it and I know, yeah, that's happened to me, but I don't have to think about it. That's healing. I want to see you guys healed. I want to see you guys confident. Like I've noticed myself over the last year, I've noticed my confidence in myself skyrocket. Like I feel like I can do things. I can feel like I can speak to certain people without being like, oh yeah, well, maybe if that's okay with you, if you don't mind. It's like, no, I'm just going to be bold and speak. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to just share. As that's what we're here to do, is share the knowledge. Share the love. This feels good. This feels good. So, wow, it's just about 12 o'clock. So are you guys ready to get some Are you guys ready to get some sleep? Yeah, send me, how about this? If you guys want to talk again tomorrow night, if you're free, well then send me or make a comment in this video of what you want to talk about. How's that? And we'll meet here again tomorrow night. Sound good? All right, so I'm going to sign off, get some sleep. You guys get some sleep. Have a good evening wherever you are in the world. Actually, I'd like to know where you guys are. Send me a comment. Post it. And yeah, let's talk. I'd love to see you guys here tomorrow night again. So sweet dreams. God bless you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening. And thank you for your support. Love you guys. Bye, everyone. Bye, Diane.